we can boost the mic here. We can start. I share some things here. The text here I'm going to talk about is the text what I presented in the university. I try to clean up many things that is very academic. All right, I will try. If it is so heavy, you can stop me. Okay, no problem. So to define the theme of my work, I discussed with several people, now including some doctors. During an interview, in discussion with the professor, I told him, Professor, we are all dependents. We are all dependents. And he immediately replied, speak for yourself. Thus, every time, whatever I presented, the theme of my work never stops to surprise and question because everyone feels alarmed by the topic, which forces me to have to reassure and explain that I explain to people that dependencies are part of our life from beginning to end. I repeat, it's quite strange, but dependence is part of our life. Dependence is part of our life from beginning to end. Due to our limited and fragile nature as creature. Well, yes, I answer yes, dear professor. We are dependent to life and its needs in air, water, relationship, sexuality, and I don't mean sex. The list is very long. The problem is that this dependence can lose its balance and become pathological. Hence the precise title of this work. Dependence and Dependencies, an anthropological and moral analysis of today's Western world. So, in this presentation today, I pursue two objectives in form of a question. Okay, the first objective is this question: what is the profound meaning of the dependence of man created in the image of God? So maybe there is a sense, there is a meaning inside of the dependence. No. The second objective is how can we offer a moral proposal when dependence becomes pathological. I put Alphonsian because I did my thesis in the Alphonsianum in Rome. Okay, so we just keep it on mind. First objective is what is the meaning of the dependence? Why God created us dependent? The second one is how can we offer a moral proposal to catechists, to priests, when dependence becomes pathological. So, in those methods that we can see here in the slide, with those methods, I will not speak about it because it's quite heavy. So, but the study is limited in the period from 1950 until 2021, because our investigation of the status questionis showed that the studies have only been done on pathological cases. Many people are studying dependence, but only pathological. That's the problem, no? In the psychological, psychiatric field, but very little in anthropology, and also very little in moral theology. That's why we decided to study also in anthropology and theology. So with those methods, I could see, for example, analyzing the terms, the concept, dependence and addictions. And I could see, we analyzed in 5 languages, and then we could see that there is differences. Although in the medicine, we don't separate things. So another thing also, we studied this. I used the descriptive method in order to focus on the person rather to the object of dependence. Most of the time, people study the dependence about the object, for example, drug, pornography, I don't know, the object of the dependence. Instead, here, I tried to study about the person, okay? So, we can do a hypothesis. We call that qual è la tesi della tesi, no? So the hypothesis is that, starting from our 2 initial questions, we can establish the hypothesis that a complete human freedom and autonomy of the individual and the human community as a whole consists in the acceptance and integration into one's life of a total dependence on God. Only in this way can the right place be given not only to people, but also to the essential things and activities. That is the hypothesis that we try to study in the thesis. It's nice because the total dependence on God is the source of the autonomy and freedom. So I go ahead, okay? Taking this hypothesis, okay? Taking this into account, we were faced with a challenge, actually. There is no sources on non-pathological and ontological dependence. No sources. And they are insufficient in the field of moral theology and anthropology. I can see in other words, the problem is nobody talked about dependence, although dependence pathological, okay? So the only existing sources concern in the human science, but psychology, psychiatry, and neuroscience, okay? So to fill this gap, we offer an overview about the phenomenon, okay? We have selected the interesting sources for our thesis. And we can thus say that there are three bright beams, the lights, that have shed light on each of our 4 chapters of the thesis, okay? The first one, I hope you can see the slides there. So the first one is spread by the philosophical and ontological. When you speak about ontology, is about being, our being. So we can see also about the anthropology revealed in the Bible, no? Okay. So dependence and anthropological itinerary. So the conclusion is dependence is described in an anthropological view as, first thing, dependence is a condition. It is a condition of human being for the relationship, okay? Is a condition. Now I depend on you. This is a condition of our being. And you depend on me more or less because I'm giving you something that I worked for 4 years, So is the condition for the interpersonal relationship in the community, communion with the Creator in the creation. Okay. Second one, dependence is a physical and metaphysical limit of a human nature. And for this reason, it is strength and weakness. A limit when you have, if I'm a boy, I'm not a girl. So this is my limit, no? I'm a boy and I'm not a girl. A girl, is not a boy. The limit is always a weakness for me, but also a strength, okay? So we can comparing with the sexuality, for example. This dependence becomes its supporting force which if I integrate the sexuality by my reason, by my conscious will, it serves as the engine for great things and also for beautiful actions, because sexuality is a power, no, to make many things very nice. However, sexuality is also a weakness. Yes, if it becomes possessive and violent, blinds reason and will. Sexuality can blind reason and will and suffocate people. Third thing, dependence is an ontological structure of homodependence. This homodependence is a new concept I try to put there in the thesis. You know, Homo esperans, no? Homo sapiens. Here we call also Homo dependence. So this is a structure. What does it mean that is a structure of our being, of our existence as Homo dependence? It means that you have a body. The body has his impulse, everything, no? We are imposed to do something, the body. The second thing is the soul. The soul keeps the desires we have. But this structure has also the spirit, is the longing, okay? The spirit has this longing. Everything we are pushed to another place. The fourth and last thing is the dependence is a wonder. A wonder, but we are talking about addiction or what here? That's the problem. First of all, I'm talking about dependence as our being, no? Is a wonder, yes, at the service of the solidarity, all right? In the satisfaction of essential needs based on our existence and love. Is a wonder. A wife depends on his husband to the wife, right? Is a wonder. It's beautiful to keep another and to keep loving the other people. Okay, so I hope you're not sleeping yet. Okay, we can go ahead. In the first chapter, we can conclude that man, as a creature, is on the one hand totally dependent on God, on the Creator. But on the other hand, the gift of life and the total freedom of the children of God give him a great responsibility. Okay, give a total freedom as a children, as a son of God, but give him also a great responsibility. The acceptance of ontological dependence, right, is a condition sine qua non to be truly free. If I accept that I am total dependent on God, I can become free. This is the word, this is the gospel of this today, no, of this Sunday. But I cannot speak yet about the Bible, because here we are in the anthropological field. Okay, so just to pass by, speaking also, I found some arguments on philosophy, to arguments about this, what I just said, right? For St. Thomas of Aquinas, with the inner principle, okay? Blondel is a French philosopher. Blondel, he speaks about the willing will. In French is la volonté voulue, or la volontà voluta, no? About this willing will. And Augustine, he talks about the restless heart in search of God. So with those three arguments, we can see that everybody is strive towards bliss. No, we try to be the beatitude. No, remains, but with those principles, willing will, a restless heart, we are vulnerable also. That's the weakness and the strength. All right. So I put another slide for you here. Actually, there are two opposite movements. One is one which brings the desire will, the willing will, volonté voulue of Blondel, towards the love of being. Okay, the other which delivers it to the possessive desire, to the phenomenon. I mean, we have two movements inside of us. The one is to the phenomenon, I mean, to the objects, to the things, but we have also another movement that we are going up, okay? Edith Stein, so one movement goes upwards, towards values, to the other downwards, towards the immediate pleasure offered by nature instincts and primary necessary, okay? It's nice what Edith Stein speaks, no? If you go down, we become addicted. If you go up, you use the things of the world, but we are free, because your spirit goes to another place. Okay, so let's go ahead. The second chapter. So far, it's okay. Huh? If there is some problem, if you can stop me in. So the second beam is spread by neurobiology, which illuminates the second and third chapter of the thesis. Okay, the semantic aspects and scientific typology of addictions are the main ideas of this chapter. We must first understand what pathological dependence is. Okay, so far in the first chapter we analyzed the dependence as something that is in myself. Now we start to understand what is a pathological dependence, an addiction actually. Okay, So I found something that I didn't know that helped me a lot. So I can share with you. Actually, the scientific literature, in French, in English, for pathological dependence uses the term addiction, which has its roots in the Roman law. Yes, in the Roman law before and after Jesus Christ. Actually, in front of the magistrate, the debtor has declared addictus. You know, the debtor was declared addictus, attached to, assigned to the creditor, who became his master with various powers over the body of the debtor or slave, all right, as pledge for the payments of the debt. There is here, there is here a significant relationship with addiction. The subject feels pleasure, you know. Somebody feels pleasure when he takes heroin or a plant in our country for like marijuana or other things. When he takes these things, he feels a pleasure in the other substances. In exchange, he pays by taking more and more, right? He's trapped in the system, actually. And the drug dealers, the producers of videos, games, or the producers, the industry of pornography, are businessmen and women who know that the first doses act, act as a bait that is taken often by the most vulnerable and potential customers. Yeah, they are vulnerable because our being, our dependence um, as humans makes us strength, but also weak. Strength is powerful, but also weakness. Okay, it's interesting that. So the first doses of the product, a plant that is like a drug, porno videos, many things are often free. Also, is often free. The first ones. Okay, after after a careful studies of the semantic and scientific evolution of the terms dependence and addictions, we chose the latest definition proposed by the ASAM. Okay, ASAM is the American Society of Addiction Medicine. This society uh, published this definition about addiction. I chose this one because it is complete, a complete definition, and is also synonymous of substance use disorder. The substance use disorder is the definition of addiction on the DSM-5. Many of you maybe have heard about it, no? The DSM-5 is like the Bible for the psychiatrists. Okay, and also this definition is a summary of the confusion evolution of the World Health Organization. Unfortunately, during 70 years, the World Health Organization, there is a confusion, really, a really confusion about the definition. Well, what is pathological addiction, pathological dependence? Is a chronic and treatable disease that involves complex interaction between an individual's brain circuitry, genetics, environment, and life experiences. It's very complete, I think, as a definition. because it involves the brain secrets, is the brain, but the genetic, somebody look at a heroin or a plant. I don't know if there is some plants there in Tanzania that is like a drug. I don't know. Huh? But for example, in Brazil, another place, there is the marijuana, no? Marijuana. Somebody look at it, if, never mind, it's like another plant. But somebody, because of his genetic, look at it, he wants to eat. No? Also the environment also, it counts a lot. It experiences. Well, we can talk it another time, another day, if you want. The third chapter, we tried to illustrate how a dependence becomes pathological. Okay, how can why can how can I mean how I've passed from my dependence that is natural to a pathological dependence. So let's see. Let's see now a little bit. How does dependence become pathological? First thing, nobody, it's nice to say that, nobody wants to become addicted, a pathological dependence. Okay? Nobody say, this morning I'm going to become addicted to the coffee. I don't know. Coffee is just an example. Nobody wants. Second thing that you have to say, it occurs, it happens progressively, in three phases, according to there is a mistake here. It's not square. It's piazza. Is a piazza in the Roche. These two doctors analyze the three phases. I'm not going to talk about, or three dimensions. What is explained, but on the DSM-5. But one thing is interesting also. There is a cascading neurobiological events, one after the other. Let's see in the brain what happens. So the secretion of dopamine, you have heard about it maybe in the last convivence, no, about addictions in the last year. The secretion of dopamine in the ventral tegmental area in the brain. It is analyzed here. If you want to see here, just down in green here. Okay, I can watch you in this area. So the secretion of dopamine in the ventral tegmental area activates four neuronal circuits responsible for, first one, learning. It is the hippocampus. Second one, the regulation of the emotional and memory, amygdala. That's why sometimes the memory, we don't know why there is something that passed by. Sometimes it's only a physical thing. The third one is impulse control for the frontal and prefrontal cortex. Okay, it also the reward system. We call that the reward system. So the brain has in fact learned to give a high value to an object of pleasure, becoming hypersensitive to external stimuli. Okay, so our brain has learned how to listen to something, an image, a sound, a sensation, no, many things. The brain is like a camera, no, looking at many things in order to activate the system again. So it is worth knowing that moral and social values are learned and acquired on a neuropsychological level. Interesting that the values of the values that we learn is learned in the neuropsychological level. Is not only in the heart, but also there in the brain. In these values are codified following a hierarchy. I don't know if it is. Sorry for my pronunciation. Sometimes there is a first one is important for me. The second one less important. It's actually we learn that we codify it in our brain. But in a pathological condition, what happens? In the neocortex is this area here in front of our brain, the human center of the brains. So there are many connections with the other two subcortical areas. Our brain has at least three parts, subcortical areas. Is unable to resolve neuronal conflicts. Many information becomes in the information received from the central nervous system, but we cannot decide, we cannot think. It's like because the dopamine, in the flow of the dopamine in the reward system, in the reward circuits, the person is unable to control behaviors. We have to understand that also. In the flow of dopamine, in the reward circuits, the person is unable, he cannot control behaviors that are sometimes involuntary, increasing craving, and the risk of a relapse. Okay? This part is technical, but you have to understand that. So far, it's okay. I put there, the flow dopamine in the reward system, the person is unable to control their behaviors. We are talking here a pathological dependence, okay? So, last one. So far, it's okay. Everybody's there. Okay.
It's okay, it's okay.
Okay. So, thank you, Jana. The fourth and last chapter, and then we finish. It is moral theology. That is the thesis about moral theology. It's not about brains. So the third beans comes to us from moral theology, illuminating the fourth and final chapter, which is theological moral hermeneutic analysis of the identity of human dependence. So here I have presented the results of my analysis in the form of a theological moral triptych. I don't know how to pronounce. Is a painting with the three parts, all right? So it's an idea only to understand a little bit. I choose this one. I hope you can see this triptych of the Garden of Earthly Delights by the painter Hieronymus Bosch. It's dated between the 15th century. He is also preserved in the Prado Museum in Madrid. Okay, Prado Museum. Why did I choose this? Why did I choose this work, this thing? Because the first part on the left, you can see here on the left, the first part on the left represents the paradise, the original dependence. Okay, dependence, we saw in the first chapter, is described in its original state of creation, in which the person is at the center. The person with Jesus Christ, with the God in the paradise, but the person is in the center. We have highlighted the theological identity of dependence. Man and woman are created for communion, relationship, and interdependence. Since we are created for that, for communion, we are dependent. This is this is proven by three essential experiences described by the book of Genesis, by John Paul II in the Theology of the Body, catechesis that he gave for many years, that we are three experiences. First one, imago Dei. So we are created at image of God, and God is communion. God is God the Father depends on God the Son. God the Son depends on God the Holy Spirit. They are dependent. So we are also created at image of God. Original, the second one comes from John Paul II, is the solitude in original nudity. Okay, and the third thing is the divine law that God puts on in our heart, the divine law. From this from these experiences of the ontos, of the being, of the homo dependens, I can see here, okay, this ontos, homo dependens derives the ethos. This word, just to explain, ontos means being, no, existence, and ethos means action, our way of doing things. We talk in moral about the ethos, the Christian ethos, our way of acting as son of God. So from these experiences, there is the moral sense. That is, for Imago Dei, we have the intelligence that understands that total dependence on God enhances freedom, actually. Okay? It enhances freedom. If more you depend on God, more you are free. That's the intelligence to understand that. And both of them facilitate acting responsibility. Since I have the law inside of me, I'm responsible about this law. I'm responsible about myself and about the others in the creation. Okay, this is the paradise. Now we go to the other side. The other side is on the right, represents the original fall. This sense of original dependence is obscured, is dark now, it's difficult. The serpent, let's remind a little bit the book of Genesis. The serpent, jealous of man, lies with its malice and hides in the human heart suspicions against the love of the Creator, and an insignificant desire of independence and self-sufficiency. Okay, I repeat because for me it's very interesting. That's very important. The serpent, the enemy, puts in the heart of man, because the serpent was jealous, a suspicion against the love of God. God maybe doesn't love me. I want my independence. I want to be self-sufficient. Okay, so the dependent human being, our dependent human being, okay, since becomes ill, sick, due to the virus. We talk about the virus, coronavirus, COVID, many things. So the sin, this word of the serpent puts like a virus in this inside of the heart and tries to hidden the dependence, from himself and from to the others. That's the problem. When we want to hide to ourselves our dependence and to the others, is worst actually. Is 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 not good for us. But that's very thanks be to God. God is like that. Immediately after the fall, God looks for the man and the woman, and without condemning them, God asks them without condemning, Adam, Adam, where are you? Adam, where are you? It's not God who condemned them. On the contrary, God asks as a father lovingly inquires about the state of his son after the fall. A father look at his son, that he falls. He looks at what happened with you, my son. So he also wants to rebuild the alliance, the covenant with him. The consequences of the fall on the ethos, on the actions, is intelligence. You can see in the slide, intelligence is affected by ignorance. The responsibility about the law, about myself, about to the others, is affected by selfishness. And my freedom is affected by slavery. As this image of Kiko, Adam attached to the column. Do you remember that? I don't have her. He's attached to a column. He's not anymore free. So those are the consequences. This is easily observable in an area of a human life. Okay, look at the wars today. The wars between Israel and Gaza, Ukraine, many in the Africa, many wars there, also in your continent. Look at the economy, the ecology. Look at the sexuality. Our intelligence is ignorant. Our responsibility becomes selfishness, and our freedom becomes slavery. So everything is marked by the lack of moral and social values, according to the ethical evaluation of Vidal and Elio Sgrecia. Elio Sgrecia is a cardinal. He said that many things is lack of moral values. The last part of this triptych is in the middle, okay, in the center. It is the redemption, okay, the dependence redeemed actually through the events of the history of salvation, incarnation, death, and resurrection. Jesus Christ saves man from sin. Jesus Christ saves man from sin and restores the true sense of dependence. But regenerating the state of grace, actually, is not like paradise because we still have the concupiscence, we still have some difficulties. Out of mercy, Christ becomes incarnate in the fragility, in the weakness of homo dependence. He becomes the way of divinization. I don't know how to pronounce it well. So by Christ, men become the Son of God. Man can become a son in the Son, a son in the Son, living a relationship of a total dependence on God the Father in the Spirit. So, human frailty is the theological place of the merciful kenosis of Christ, according to Majorano. Majorano is a moralist, and also is inspired by Saint Alphonsus Maria de Ligori. Our weakness, our frailty, is the merciful place of kenosis of God. God incarnates in your weakness. So nice what Saint Alfonso explains. So our thesis propose the other slide. Our thesis proposes that moral theology discovered the salvific value of the kerygma. In the New Catechumenal Way, we talk about the kerygma because it is something very strong. Sorry for I just wrote not so good there, because kerygma is with a K, no? Okay. So I proposed in this thesis, because unfortunately in our universities we don't talk too much about kerygma. Unfortunately, the kerygma is like a decoration sometimes, no? I would like to, since also I'm from the New Catechumenal Way, also the Pope Francis talks about the kerygma. So I propose that we have to rediscover the salvific value of kerygma, the Word of God incarnated, out of love, in human weakness. This word of the Logos, this word, God loves you as you are, He gives His life for you to restore your dependence with Him. These words, contradict the accuser of our brothers. You know that the accuser of our brothers sins from the day at the night, that you are not loved, you are not good, you are not. And listen to the kerygma. Kerygma is like the contradicts, is the anti-poison, like the medicine. So the Logos, the Word of God, causes their thoughts to return to the simplicity and purity. Okay? The discernment of the priest or catechist. What is your discernment, and also what is the discernment that we can have here? Is to follow the announcement of kerygma. It's sometimes no, we have to follow the announcement, the kerygma, all the times, to seek the best possible to seek the best possible good for each person here and now. Announcing the kerygma in confession, in catechesis, talking with only one person. So we have to find out the possible good for him or for her. Okay. So what can I say again, just to finish, and then we can pass for some questions or another thing. What is the acquisitions of this thesis? The first thing that, apart from the description on anthropology, at least three moral implications are here. Okay, first one is for us, like a catechist, like a priest, we have to know. First one is we have to have mercy and patience in accompanying the process of maturity or healing of the person whose dependence has become pathological. Mercy and patience. Okay? So that we can call up the freedom of this person. Second thing, the moral culpability is reduced. Sometimes we say, but this one, why he cannot stop taking the drug, taking the alcohol, or looking at pornography? How can it? Because we saw that sometimes the problems is the brain also, and so moral culpability is reduced and can even be reduced to a minimum, okay, by various factors such as the strength in the contract habits. The Catechism, the Catholic Church speaks that the strength in contracted habits, uh, according to the Catechism, okay? Also, the neurobiological explanation. So, the other things, maybe just finishing, a reformulation also the Christological ethos, not our way of doing things, acting, okay? Since the new Adam, Jesus Christ has redeemed our being, our existence of the old Adam. His action, his ethos is equally renewed. Christ saves him from the condition of addictus, of slavery. And as the Apostle Paul says, the redeemed man no longer lives for himself, but for his not even for his pleasure. The redeemed person can experience the new covenant with Christ. He can find again the intelligence. He can find again the freedom, the responsibility, because Christ is living in him. Okay, so with those are the things that we can still learn about. There is some books, for example, the Larcher, the first one. He studies in this book in French, unfortunately, therapeutic of a sickness, spiritual sickness. He talks about the vices. It's very interesting. We could study also the addictions as a spiritual sickness. Concluding, I would like only to say something that we have when dependence becomes pathological. Yeah, I finish now. I finish really. The priests and catechists must know how to assume his own responsibility, however small, very small, without delegating everything to doctors and to other professionals. For sure, when it is pathological, we have to ask the professionals, okay? But sometimes, most of the times, we cannot wash our hands saying it's not for me. No, we have a part of it on it. The spirit and soul suffer also when the dependence becomes pathological. Okay, it's only that I would like to say. Our thesis invites to consider that to be happy, really happy, not apparently happy, we have to accept our dependence on God. So I finished. I'm sorry. You can awake now if you are sleeping. Now you just voila. Okay. Maybe now I don't know if Donega is he has some a little bit of time to explain his experiences. That actually would like Donega you to give your experience about these 12 steps, or we
Well,
pass to the question. I don't know if it is better. I don't know your time. Sorry.
no, it's okay. I had a question, rather. Um can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, my question is in regard to what you have just explained. Is there a difference between vice and dependence? Can we say that there are three different things? Just sin a sin in which I fall, a vice, a sin that I repeat many times and I become used to it, and then a dependence, or just dependence in the sense of addiction, in the sense of pathological dependence, is just a strong vice. Has there ever been a reflection on this point?
Yeah, thank you for your question, because actually it's very interesting, because I would like also to explain on that. And my teacher said, no, no, stop, stop. Your thesis is already too long, you know. I would like to explain about the vices. Instead, also in these 12 steps, also we try to explain. As after Jana maybe can say something about that. We try to differentiate vices in dependences. Also, the sin is always, there is also a sin for sure, no? But actually here is the culpability, the moral culpability can be reduced if it is a vice, if it is a dependence, for example. But there is a difference. I would like even go farther to understand that, to separate that. For me is that when we talk about pathological dependence, I think we keep we usciamo. I don't know how to. We go out from the place of vices, no? Because maybe the vices is the second step, maybe before dependence, because dependence is a pathological.